So welcome to the Transformation Through Moʻolelo, Mele Hana Noʻeau Series.
Your mom's on.
Hawaiian culture can incorporate physical, intellectual, spiritual, and emotional well-being through skillful work. Hawaiian cultural practice transforms through discovery. Today's session will focus on the Hawaiian cultural practice of cooking. The presenters are UH Maui College, Hawaii Papaʻokeʻau, and Kahikina Okala Director Hōkūlani Holt and Chancellor Louis Hokoana.
This one today.
Somebody got their mic open.
He did. He muted. Shane muted. Yeah.
To begin, Hōkūlani Holt will share moʻolelo and ʻoli on the ʻulu. Thank you, Hōkūlani. And before we start, I just wanted to thank Chancellor Hokoana for the ʻulu, the Inamona, and the Limu, plus the bag. So all those that received it, it's thanks to our Chancellor. Thank you, Hōkūlani.
Aloha mai kako, aloha.
Aloha.
Mahalo for being here and joining us a little bit today. I'm going to share screen because I work better like that. Actually, my share screen keeps me on task, so I don't swerve off too much. So this is part of the professional development series of Transformation Through Moʻolelo, Mele Hana Noʻeau. So this month is Hawaiian Language Month. So if you see down there, Kapo Kupau o Kamahina Nana, it is the night of Kupau in the month of Nana. And this is really good because we're going to talk about ku. Hawaiians recognize male and female forms of ʻulu, as they did many other plants. These sexual concepts do not always correspond to those recognized in scientific botany. The sexual distinction in breadfruit involves the recognition of erect plants as male and low-lying or bush-like plants as female. The upright breadfruit tree is a kinolau of ku, and the low-lying female plants were associated with the goddess Haumea, who could also transform into an ʻulu. Among other things, the word ʻulu, without the okina, means to grow, increase, spread, growth, to protect. Thus, the tree also sometimes symbolizes those meanings and attributes. Who recognizes that logo up in the upper left-hand corner of my picture? Whose logo is that? Whose logo is that? Not you.
Maui College unofficial one.
Right.
Program.
You know, if you guys didn't know that this particular look of the ʻulu is UH Maui College, you drive around with your eyes closed. Because when you drive into the campus from Ka'ahumanu Avenue, it's on both sides on the wall. And as you look at several of our logos, you will see it. So thus, the whole idea of to grow, increase, inspire, growth, to protect, those are also all meanings of the word ʻulu. This is the moʻolelo that has to do with ku and the ʻulu tree. Ku is one of the four major gods of Hawaii. He is responsible for many aspects of Hawaiian life: fishing, farming, forestry, warfare, and several climatic conditions. This story takes place when Ku assumed the life of a regular man. He lived and worked as a Kanaka and eventually settled down with a wahine and had a family. As a mahi'ai, he farmed kalo and lived a peaceful life of plenty. But then a famine came upon them. There was no rain. There were no waterfalls and springs, and the plants withered and died. Ku knew that only he had the answer for them. He told his wahine that he had to leave them and never return, but he would still provide for them. She didn't want him to go, but the cries of her children changed her mind. They went to a clearing outside of their house, and Ku explained what would happen. He told her that he would stand on his head and descend into the ground, but for her not to be afraid. And with that, he went into the ground. Every day, Ku's wahine cried at the spot where Ku went down. Her eyes watered the ground. And after one anahulu, or 10 days, a small sprout appeared. Not long after, a large tree with a sturdy trunk, beautiful leaves, and round fruit. When roasted, this fruit could feed her and her children. As time passed, little ka, or root shoots, began to appear. These new trees were given to neighbors to plant and provide food for everyone. The fruits of Ku's sacrifice continue to grow throughout Hawaii and nourish people to this very day. There is an ʻōlelo noʻeau that says, Nana noa ka ʻulu I paki ke po. Look for the gummy fruit, breadfruit. Advice to a young girl to look for a man who has substance, like gummy breadfruit, which is a sign of maturity. So what you see in these pictures are what happens to the ʻulu when it begins to mature on the tree. What you see in the pictures is that the little shapes or scales begin to have dark lines around them, and the sap begins to ooze out of the skin. When the ʻulu is full of this white sap that has oozed out of the skin, then it is ripe enough to eat. If you can't see the dark line around the scales of the ʻulu, then don't pick it because it's not ripe yet. You got to see the dark lines and the white of the sap as it oozes. So, look for a gummy breadfruit, young ladies, if you're looking for a young man that's someone of substance. This on the left is another ʻōlelo noʻeau, na uluhua I ka hāpapa, the breadfruit that bears on the ground. Breadfruit trees of Ni'ihau were not visible, and the branches seemed to spread along the ground. This is because they planted them in sinkholes. These trees are famed in chants of Ni'ihau. So the chant we see here, I will do for you, and you'll see in the second verse, that first line, this ʻōlelo noʻeau. And follow along as we talk about Ni'ihau. E hoʻi Kealoha Ni'ihau e ai ka waiuna ka pao e. Ka uluhua I ka hāpapa e a me ke koelia o halali e. Aia o ni hoa mahope I ka lau hāpapa pa I ke kai e. O ka la vela vela I ke kula he a huli aku ke alo I ka ua I e ai. Haina ia mai ka puana he no ka piola ni no he noa e ai. He noa no ka piola ni. Julia Kapi'olani Napela Kapuo Kakae was born December 31st, 1834 in Hilo. Her mother was High Chiefess Kinoiki and her father High Chief Kuhio. Kapi'olani was well educated, wrote and spoke both Hawaiian and English, but in later years refused to speak English. She married High Chief David Kalakaua, December 1863, who was elected as king in 1874. A benevolent queen, Kapi'olani visited the different islands and mingled with her people. This honors her visit to Ni'ihau. Okay, so these are what you might see when it comes to ulu. Ulu can get super tall. Yeah, ulu tree. If you have not seen one live, there's one in the Uluvehi Gardens over there on our campus, and there's also one in the community services garden over by where Kahikina office is. So huge ulu trees. One of the what's the right word? One of the common views is that if you see 2 or 3 ulu growing from the same stalk, it is going to be a rainy year. If you see one, it may be drier. Yeah, so maybe you want to take a look at that as you go around campus. Okay, now I'm going to divert, as I often do, divert off of ulu, and I'm going to talk about Limu Manauea. It is an endemic red algae that is found along Hawaii's shoreline in a depth of 12 feet. Traditionally, the seaweed was called Limu Manauea. Today, I'm not going to say that and kill the scientific pronunciation, and other species are more commonly called by the Japanese name Ogo. So Ogo is not Hawaiian. Ogo is Japanese. Its particularly popularity in many types of local foods and habitat degradation has led to the reduction of the natural population. Today, it is being successfully raised in aquaculture facilities in and throughout Hawaii and the Pacific region. So today and every day moving forward, we're going to call it Manauea because today is Olelo Hawaii month, Mahina Olelo Hawaii. So we're going to call it Manauea and not Ogo because when people are going to say, what kind? Manauea. I don't know that. Okay, don't go pick it out there at the end of Kihei and the other places where Manauea grows. Okay. Mahalo nui.
Thank you, Hoku. Joyce, you can play my slides. You know, oh, what a treat, Hoku, to get to hear the stories and also to hear you ʻoli and hear your ipu. Is that how it is every time? Because I'm still missing out if it is actually. You know, when I hired Hoku, there was some kuleana I wanted her to take on, and she made me promise, I think it was just one thing, Hoku. She made me promise never to parade her out to do the ʻoli. So when you see me doing the ʻoli at the function, that was because I wasn't going to parade Hoku out to go do the ʻoli for all our things. But, you know, I bought her because we needed to have a culture expert and a master. And really, I always tell people that it's like, no, No need, go ask Hoku, she know. She's the master. Whatever she say goes. So just listen to her. So as a leader actually of the Chancellor of Maui College, I'm very, it makes me very proud. And also I feel more confident, Hoku, when I can tell people, no. That's how they pronounce it because Hoku told me and she know. So thank you, Hoku, for all the work that you do over here. So Joyce, you got those slides real quick.
No, keep talking, please.
Oh, okay.
I'm still working on it. I thought I
It's fine.
downloaded,
You
but
put
I
it
didn't.
up. You had it up earlier.
Okay, I think I'm good now.
Okay. Yeah, I got to take lessons on Google Doc, and it's so funny that our whole admin teams are trying to do Google Slides. So we're learning it as we go. I used to think before, why did I can just send them to me in Microsoft Word? Why do you got to put them in Google Docs and you got to go through all this? But you know, I'm coming to learn that Google Docs and this whole Google thing is a great thing. So for David yesterday, I told him, David, we're not doing PowerPoint anymore. We're doing Google Slides. So you got to go learn how to do Google Slides. So yesterday in our admin presentation, he actually put his thing in Google Slides. So today, guys, we're going to do ʻulu poke, and it's by a very good friend of mine. The recipe is Kealoha Domingo, and he's actually trying to put healthy, actually Hawaiian diet was healthy, right? So he's kind of reviving that tradition, and he comes from a long line of chefs, so he's a good guy to do it. So you might be asking, why ʻulu? And I was actually gonna do pan laulada, my mother has a recipe for, but I was walking in our kitchen, listening to our guys complain about we have so much ʻulu in our Maui College freezer. So literally, right now, we have at least 1 ton of ʻulu in our freezer here at the college. And let me tell you how we got it there. So about maybe September of last year, Hana Ranch approached our Food Innovation Center folks and told them, hey, you know, we're looking for a place to process ʻulu. So there's an ʻulu co-op in Kona, where people from throughout Hawaii gathers ʻulu and then sends it, right? Just the raw product to Kona where they're processing it, and then the co-op goes ahead and sells it, right? But in September, or maybe it was a little bit later, I think the shipping costs went up for Young Brothers. So it was coming prohibitive to ship all the ʻulu that Hana Ranch was growing. And I think they were growing maybe like 10 tons of ʻulu to ship. And they would lose close to half of the product during the shipping, that either get bruised or it didn't go on time, so it would come palahe. So we said, well, you know what? Because we get COVID, we're not really cooking in our kitchen. So let's go make available our kitchen to process ʻulu. So Hana Ranch bought their chef. They were processing. I said, and you know what? We need practicum sites for our food service students to do something, because they got to do certain hours. It used to be in a restaurant or a food service establishment. Why don't we have them do ʻulu? So they would get literally delivered 2 tons of ʻulu. I think they did that for like 8 weeks or 10 weeks. They would cook the ʻulu, peel the ʻulu, and then they bag it for sale. So they're selling some of it to, I think, the guy who makes ʻulu pies. They're selling some of it to some restaurants, but you know, there was not too many venues to sell because of COVID. So my next part, the last sentence says, what's next for ʻulu? So go back, Joy. Sorry. Oh, you're good. You're good. So what next for ʻulu? What we're going to try to do is, I've been in these meetings with, you know, we're all trying to reinvigorate agriculture, because it's so important for our economy. We have all this open space, and we can grow our stuff. But what I've been hearing at all these meetings with farmers is there's no distribution for the product. So they can grow all the food, but there's no place to sell it, right? So what we're gonna try to do is we're gonna ask two of our chefs, because they had some time this semester, to take this ʻulu and start creating recipes that we can train our maybe food service people, like cafeteria managers. People forget the largest restaurant in Hawaii is the DOE, because they're serving thousands and thousands of lunches every day in the state of Hawaii. So what we learned about, and and my mom will kill me for saying this because she was a cafeteria manager, is they don't really know how to cook anymore. So really it's taking the processed food, put them in the oven, warm them up, and serve that baby, right? They don't really have to cook it. And you know what? When my mother was a food service manager, she was at Baldwin High, she was making 2,000 lunches a day for 5 days a week. So they're gonna have to figure out how to scale that form. So what we're gonna try to do is have our chefs create some recipes using ʻulu, some diversity, right? Not just ʻulu poke, not just ʻulu chips, but maybe making stews, maybe making pastas. We're gonna ask maybe our food service people maybe to create some recipes. So maybe they can make one scone that can be frozen, that the cafeteria folks can warm up and serve it for breakfast in the morning. So it's kind of exciting. We're starting to have those conversations. We're gonna meet with Hana Ranch on Monday to start the discussion, and we'll see where ʻulu goes. But in my mind, we're trying to reimagine what we're doing at Maui College. This is a way we want to reimagine. So not only do we prepare our students to go work in restaurants, but we also support this economy by creating opportunities for distribution of food so that we can support the agriculture industry, so we can support entrepreneurs. So the ideal thing would be that they create these recipes, they create skill, that people then can go become entrepreneurs and create maybe these ready-made frozen products using ʻulu to mass produce or to send out to the public. What's interesting is this project, I think he said they processed, I think, almost 24 tons of ʻulu here at the college. So there is a possibility to make money on this from the farmer's part. He says ʻulu right now they sell for about $3.85, which kind of surprised me, $3.85 a pound, which I thought was a really good price, and as much as $4 a pound. So when they hire our students or hire people to process it, they think they can make about $1.50 a pound net profit. So there is an opportunity for a farmer. And I was talking to Dwayne Lammers, who is the ranch manager at Fort Hana Ranch, and he was saying ʻulu's a very easy crop to grow. And they actually works perfect with them on a ranch because it provides shade and cover for the cows that they are trying to raise. So that's why we got ʻulu in front of you guys today. And if you want more, we're going to buy some more, so get ʻulu. And I was telling people before we started, I love ʻulu when it comes already ham out of skin and cooked and ready to go, right? I would eat ʻulu every day if I could get it like this. And obviously now you can't. So the next slide, please, Joyce. So you guys, here's the ʻulu, and you know what? We didn't go to the amount that was provided in the recipe. We're gonna just do it all by taste. And when I talked to Kealoha, told him I was gonna do this, he said, yeah, that's how you gotta do it. So you gotta have your ʻulu. Got some round onion, got some kula onion over here, some limu, hoku, please.
Manauea.
Limu Manauea, which is really Manauea. And then some green onion over here. The only thing that was hard to find, and I had to go to Foodland, was the sesame seed oil. But I think you could use any type of oil. I mean, cooking kinds of oil, like maybe olive oil or something like that. But this does have a peculiar, it has an interesting taste actually that I've never had before. And then Inamona, and if you don't know what Inamona is, it's made out of kukui, the kukui nut. You know the one that make kukui nut lays? If you cook that and you break it, in the middle is a small ball, and it's oil, so it is very rich. So it's ono to eat with, but you never want to put too much because you're gonna have the runs if you put too much. So go easy on that. And then of course I got some salt to taste. So any kind of salt that you want, but I think the salt, I use this ʻAlai salt that actually comes from Kauai. Okay, so let's get started. So with your ʻulu, and you know what's funny? I made this for the first time last night, you guys. I think I better go practice with them. So the one I cut actually, and this one too, has seeds. So you want to make sure to take out your seed.
So
And
Louis,
you know what?
can you
I'm sorry.
get your camera down
Yes.
a little bit?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Here we go. There we go.
Perfect.
Perfect. So there were seeds in there, so make sure to take out the seeds. I also was just chopping up the, it's kind of wasteful for it. You can just eat the extras, but I was chopping off the kind of ugly parts of it too. And then basically you're just gonna chunk it, right? So, when you go Foodland, you decide what size poke you like. I don't like go Safeway because they cut the poke too big over there. I like the one at Foodland at Oki's because they cut them really small. So I like my chunks not so big. So, that's the beauty about making it yourself. You can decide what size you want, right? Just gonna throw that in there. And then Joyce said that I also supposed to talk about my the culture tradition, and I see Sam Geisen over here on the call, and I think I've told you guys this story that I went to Hilo. I actually wasn't going to go to college because I thought I would become a fisherman. I had gotten to Washington and had went salmon fishing, and I thought salmon fishing was the greatest thing in the world. So that's what I thought I was going to do the rest of my life until October, when it started getting very, very cold. And it's like, oh no, I'm not going to live here. So it's funny, I moved home and my friends had a party. My classmates had a party at Hilo and said, Louis, you should come to the party. So I went. It was funny at that time, Hilo was kind of small and they were still connected to Hawaii CC. And believe it or not, you could still enroll in October at the college. It was still accepting people. So that's how my parents were so happy. They were so concerned I was going to grow up beyond Mock. So they were so happy that I was going to go to college. So I went to college. And of course, I wanted to learn Hawaiian. So I signed up for the 7:30 course, right? When I went to high school, I couldn't make my 8:30 class, 8:30 course, but I thought I was going to be transformed. So I was going to go make one 7:30, and I didn't do so well my first semester. So when that happens at Hilo, you got to go see one special counselor to kind of strategize how you're going to do better the next semester. I think I had like a 1.5 GPA. So I met with Jim DeMello, and they actually turned me on to the Hawaiian Leadership Development Program, which Sam actually is a part of, or was a part of at the time. And their goal was to increase college going for Native Hawaiian males because the college going rate and college success rate for Native Hawaiian males was very poorly. So the first cohort they took 10 males, and I think 9 out of the 10 went drop out. So in the second cohort, they decided to go a half. They maybe better go get some females to help level out. So they got 10 females and 10 males. And that was where at Hilo that I got to be introduced to some very just Native Hawaiians who were in higher education, right? And growing up, I didn't have too many role models, too many higher education role models. So over there, like Auntie Pua was there, Ed Kanahele was there, David Singh, Gail Makuakani London, Manu Meyer, Pila Wilson, Kawanoi Kamana. And today those people are leaders in Hawaiian education. So, you know, and it was funny because they just are starting their young careers. So in those days, you know, we could still drink. So it was a lot of, that's how we would socialize. We don't socialize that way anymore with the students that we come into contact with. But long story short about that is they did provide perfect role models and support to help me get through the whole ka'au thing and the ha'alele and get to the huaka'i part of the journey. So you guys, I would just chop up all the Limu Manauea. Limu Manauea. You know, when we was young, we used to go gather Limu Manauea at I don't think that place has any limu anymore, but by Mauilu, in front of the Mauilu, that's where we would go gather the Limu Manauea, which we called Ogo, and we'd go get limu kohu from down the road at Ma'alaya. But yeah. So anyway, at UH Hilo, I'm trying to finish that story. When I was there, we met with Ed Kanahele, and he told us, you know, it's important that you do something Hawaiian, because Hawaiians, we gotta be responsible for continuing the traditions that our kupuna left for us. So, you know, that thought stuck with me my whole life. And that kind of began the journey of doing something Hawaiian, right? So I would go try to take hula, I would go do ʻoli, I would go do lomi lomi, I would even go on the canoe. And really getting to learn from some very, the leaders in the field at the time. You know, what was funny is why I'm telling you this story is the thing Hawaiian was always in front of me, and it's food that my family had my great-grandfather did an imu, my father made an imu, we all learned how to do the imu, but we do food, and that's what's been the practice, right? So it's funny that you go look away from your thing when your thing is right in front of you. So our ohana has been doing food or food gathering for many years. I talk about the limu, we still do actually go gather limu. It's kind of getting hotter because this environment not so good. We still go get vana from the ocean down in Ku'au. So we still go to certain places. We still go get black crab, and then we still prepare food. So it's funny that in the ohana, you know, it's all by age, right? So I always tell people, you know, the education part, that's all secondary in the ohana. Everybody like be in the kitchen, and everybody like get beyond the dishwashing or beyond the trash to be able to cook the food. But when you're a baby, you never get that honor. You gotta wait, you gotta let the older guys go first, and we all aspire to be cooking the squid luau. We all aspire to do that, but you gotta wait your turn. So, you know, eventually you just hang out in there, and then you get, so even when I got my doctorate, I said, oh, must be, now I want doctor, guarantee I'm gonna get access. Not even, I still had to wash the dishes that night, but now get younger generations, so we're slowly moving up to different things. But when I tell people about the learning that took place in that kitchen, I really learned almost everything I need to do in life from that process, right? There's a hierarchy, there's a level of respect and command, and the people who are doing the cooking, they've been doing that for years. So what you learn from that, which is sometimes contradictory to what we learn in higher education, it takes time to become an expert in a field, right? So that's why in our ohana, we know we have uncles or aunties that make the best lomi salmon, or they make the best squid luau, because they've been doing it for 20 years. And then they would learn it from somebody who was doing it for 30 years, right? It also teaches that everybody has kuleana to the party. So everybody got to do their thing, even if you're 3 years old, right? Or even if you kupuna and cannot walk, everybody can contribute to be part of this luau or to make this luau happen. So I always joke with people and tell them, yeah, the doctorate degree, being chancellor, all secondary. I will learn everything I needed to learn in the kitchen. And we continue to do that actually today to make food for people and to care for people. So I'm always excited when we do the vaccination clinic over here that we get to feed people, but they make way more fancy food than we would make in the luau. So okay, so we put the limu in here with the ʻulu, and then I'm gonna just use some Inamona. So Kealoha said just Inamona to taste. I mean, to your taste. So what I would do is I put all the ingredients in and then let's mix it and then we can taste it. And then onions. I don't know if you guys missed the earlier part, but yeah, it's so good to have a culinary program. They have any kind in the kitchen. So, that one kind of uplift the luau making because they have they have all the fancy equipment over there. I tell people, oh, now I can make the luau by myself if I can use the cafeteria. And then the sesame oil. And just mix it up, you guys. I made this for the first time last night, actually, and I ate it for breakfast. I think I told you guys that already, and it was really ono, actually. So when I talked to Kealoha, the chef, when he was making this, he suggested everybody has a different way that they like it. Some people like it salty, some people like it not so salty. So just go to taste, you guys, when you make it. And of course, this morning I forgot my pretty bowl, but the culinary program had a pretty bowl for put the final product in. And we had one tea leaf in our office, so I could go put a tea leaf off the plant over here. It's right over here in the corner to make real pretty. And, it's funny because they don't really, when Kealoha makes this, he makes it really pretty too. So I told him that I would make it pretty too for him. And then he suggested that you garnish with some Inamona. So I'm serious about the Inamona, you guys. Don't go too heavy on the Inamona, even though it makes the thing really, really ono. And then garnish with the kang. And that's it, you guys. We should taste them, to make sure that the thing tastes good. Let me see. I'm gonna try to taste them, make sure. That's really good, actually, you guys. And I'm serious, you're gonna have to take my word for it. So, yeah. That's pretty much the culture journey. I think I talked a little bit about everybody contributes. There's a job for everybody. We all contribute. But what's interesting is that there is mana, or there's mana in the learning. So my mother, she has like the mana, right? She's 83 years old. She's passing all this to us. She doesn't like to help us anymore. But we still go back to her, right? To learn about, that you need 15 pounds rice for feed 100 people, that you use one green scooper for get to 130, or it's just amazing the genius that they have in that area with food production, right? But again, that's what time and focus on something and brings, right? So that she has a tremendous amount of mana with food. So even till today, like I can probably make the luau all by myself, but I always invite my mama to come. Mom, come taste. And then usually if I'm in the kitchen with some friends who've never met my mom, I said, you guys, don't take this personal, but it's going to be critical. Right? And if it's not, you're very worried if it wasn't critical about little bit too much sugar, right? Or little bit too much something or something like that. But, in the end, I think It's a wonderful way of teaching, right? Just drawing people in to learn it. You do a trial by error. You're excited to learn. Like I was saying, we're all aspired to be in the kitchen, so we worked really hard at it. And then the bounty or the finishing is pretty food or making people really happy with the food that you make. So Amber, are you mixing up there? I see you mixing, Amber. Did you taste it?
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Can you hold the bowl up to the camera a little closer? No, your pretty one.
My pretty one, okay. Oh, wrong way. Pretty one. There you go.
Perfect.
Oh, I feel like I should go into the culinary business. I always feel like that, you guys, anyway.
So did anybody else make their dish? Will you share it in the screen just so we can see? Amber, can we see yours?
Awesome,
Can you
Amber.
speak, Amber, so you can be in the big screen?
Yeah. Here. So
Oh,
there you go.
good.
Genevieve, you were showing yours too, yeah? Genevieve.
Yep, this is mine.
Oh, that looks good. I'm gonna show mine. I think I cut it too big. Can you see it?
Yeah, well, if that's how you like them, that's
No, I
fine.
think I like it smaller. Next
Can
time.
go back, fix them, as my mom tells us. No, you can go back, fix them.
Who else has theirs? Anybody else made? Monica, did you make yours? Oh, there you go.
Oh, awesome, Mark. So Joyce, in their containers, they had the sesame oil too.
No sesame oil,
Oh,
but I have some in my office if anybody wants. And I bought some more Limu, but I don't think it's that same one that everybody has. Mine is black from VIP. So, but I have plenty to share.
and actually, that's what, if you wanted to buy Limu, you can buy Limu from VIP, actually.
Yeah, it's the kind that is raised, yeah, rather than wild. So it's the one
Right.
that's raised. As long as it's crunchy and it has those skinny, longish limu, then probably you're right. It's the one, probably.
They had two types, which I bought both. One was black and one was red.
Mm. You know, it's funny, I was talking to the ʻUlu guy, and he said the ʻUlu can last a very long time in the freezer.
Mm.
That said years, it can last for years in the freezer. Like, oh, I was surprised.
We love, my favorite way to eat ulu is on the fire until the outside turns black. Oh, good, that one.
Is it when it's hard or soft, the ulu, that you cook it that way?
It gotta be ripe. Gotta be ripe.
Okay, Joyce, thank you for putting this together.
Thank you. This was really awesome. And just to let you know, everyone, please come to our next session, which will be, I don't know the date, but it's in April. It's in March.
10, I think. March 10.
March 10th, and we will be making lepo'o. So, you know, the flower that people put on their head here, very nice. So Liana Horowitz and Lenny English will be presenting, as well as, of course, Hōkūlani Holt. So we'll see everyone on March 10th. Thank you all for being here. I'll send out the recording and a little evaluation so you can get